It is called the wrath of nature. Look, the clouds have burst and the water is pouring down, as if a big dam has broken and people are screaming like this. Viewers, today we are going to unveil such a natural mystery which appears to be a common word. But when it is actually a reality, then mountains break, settlements disappear from the face of the earth, and in a moment, the scenes of the apocalypse scatter on the ground. We are talking about the cloudburst. This is the moment when the clouds suddenly burst as if the big buildings in the sky have been torn apart. In a few minutes, it rains so much that the small drains flowing on the chest of the earth also turn into a storm. Trees wither along with the roots, mountains forget their strength, and man keeps crying over his helplessness. In today's video, we will show you the real videos of those cloudbursts that burst in the world, which you may not believe after watching them. So friends, let's first talk about Leh, India, where a cloudburst occurred in August 2010, which turned the peaceful valley into a graveyard in a moment. In the darkness of the night, people were sleeping peacefully in their homes, when suddenly the clouds burst from the sky, as if someone had opened the door of the sea of water above, and in just 20 minutes, 75 millimeters of rain fell. And it was not ordinary rain, but a disastrous storm flowing with stones and mud. Heavy piles of mud fell from the mountains, small drains themselves broke like beasts on the town. In this incident, more than 200 people were killed, while thousands were injured and homeless. The houses that had been happy till yesterday became a pile of rubble in a moment. Schools, hospitals, shops, everything was destroyed. Witnesses say that in a few minutes, it felt like the end of the world. The survivors kept listening to the voices of their loved ones in silence for hours. But no one's screams could be heard in the noise of water and mud. Friends, this incident is still an unforgettable wound in the hearts of the people of that area. And every time a drop of rain brings a message of fear for them. Dear friends, now let's talk about Gansu province of China, where a cloudburst occurred in 2018, which washed away the modern infrastructure, large dams and the entire village in a flash. This was the time when people were sleeping peacefully in their homes at night, when suddenly the clouds darkened the sky. Then the clouds burst like a blast, and it felt as if someone had opened the doors of the sea of water from the sky. In a few hours, the rain was so heavy that the banks of the rivers broke. The dams were filled and the water flowed towards an uncontrollable swamp. In this incident, more than 200 people were killed, while thousands were injured and homeless. Large houses were plowed, farms were destroyed, and the roads were broken as if they had never been built there. Witnesses said that the noise of water was so loud that people could not even hear their screams. At many places, the ground began to slip and the land sliding buried the entire village under the soil. The Chinese government immediately sent troops and rescue teams, but the devastation was so great that no village could come into contact for many days. That cloudburst forced the world's experts to think that even if you have the latest technology and strong infrastructure, when nature shows its strength, then man's one does not work. The people of Gansu still remember that night and tremble when the sky brought down its anger on the ground. Dear friends, our next incident in this list is of the northern region of India, Kedarnath, which was the victim of such a disaster in June 2013, which still shivers when people there remember it. This was the time when millions of pilgrims had come to the Himalayan mountains on a joyous journey. The weather was pleasant, the mountains were covered with snow, and the water in the rivers flowed peacefully. But suddenly the sky changed such a color that everything changed in a moment. Clouds burst, heavy rain began, and the snow on the mountains began to melt together. A whirlpool of water moved downwards, and as soon as it saw it, the entire town of Kedarnath was engulfed in devastation. In that storm, more than 5,000 people lost their lives, while thousands of people were lost forever. Temples, markets, houses were all submerged. Experts say that with the noise of the water, the stones and icicles falling from the mountains made such a noise that someone rang the bell of doom. Those who were worshipping, those who were looking for shelter, all drowned in the fast. Current of the water. The Indian Army and security teams continued the process of removing the bodies for several days, but the mountain roads were closed, the land was cut off, and it was almost impossible to bring people back to life. This incident is considered the biggest cloudburst in the history of India. And even today, when it is mentioned, people call it the bloodstained storm of the Himalayas. Ladies and gentlemen, in this list, the next incident is of the Pakistani government of Islamabad, where in July 2001, such a cloudburst came that destroyed the modern city in a blink of an eye. This incident is particularly memorable because it is not in a mountainous valley, but in the most developed city in Pakistan. At night, the sky must have been covered with clouds, and then suddenly it felt as if someone had opened the door of the sky. It rained so much in a few hours that it did not rain in the whole month. The famous Nal Alai of Islamabad became the biggest victim of that cloudburst. This drain, which usually looks like a small river, suddenly became a terrible disaster. The fast current of water carried cars, motorcycles, shops and houses with it. Many people who were sleeping in their homes drowned in a stream of water in seconds. According to the government record, more than 70 people died, while billions of rupees were lost. Eyewitnesses say that when the water entered the houses, people picked up their children and ran towards the roofs. But the water was rising so fast that there was no way to save them. In many areas, people climbed on the trunks of trees and electricity to save their lives. Rescue teams kept removing corpses in the affected areas for several days. Nal Alai still stirs up a wave of fear in the hearts of people on rainy days. Because everyone knows that if the clouds burst again, the same scenes can be repeated. At the end of the video, let's talk about our own country, Pakistan's province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where only a few days ago there was such a cloudburst that shook everyone's heart. Clouds burst in the mountainous valleys and it rained so hard that small streams turned into bloodthirsty beasts in a few moments. The water stream broke through houses, shops and farms and everything was destroyed in seconds. According to the locals, the rain was so intense that the ground began to shake. Trees broke down along with the roots and landsliding began in many places from the mountains. People kept running towards the heights to save their lives. But unfortunately, many families got stuck in the water stream. The rescue team arrived immediately, but due to the closure of the mountainous roads, it was not even possible to reach the affected areas for several hours. This recent incident reminds us once again that the cloudburst is not an old story, but is still happening on our land. This scene in the mountains of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is proof that man is still helpless before nature. Dear friends, these events of the cloudburst give us only one lesson, that no matter how much man progresses, he is still helpless before nature. In a few moments, the settlements are wiped out and the smiling settlements turn into ruins. What do you think? Can we make some preparations to avoid such incidents? Or is it just a test of nature? Do let us know your opinion in the comments. Inshallah, we will be at your service with a new video. Until then, take good care of yourself.